Oh, Rubelay just left. Okay, but let's start anyway. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on skills for the 21st century. Skills for the 21st century. What could these be? According to a very big search engine, I looked them up this morning, and it gave me examples like creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, or international understanding. But one which came to my mind and which also got mentioned this morning in the plenary session is resilience, a skill I guess every one of us had tough training in the last 18 months. So I'm more than curious to hear what our three presenters will explain in regards to these skills. Our speakers here come from around the globe, from India to Europe to Latin America, representing the projects T India, eViva, and La Pasión. My name is Alexander Stelz. I'm your host for this session. And I also want to introduce my amazing colleague, Aina Livne, supporting us as co-host. And some last words for our attendees. Please find on the right of your screen, so I guess maybe here, or maybe here, I'm not sure, a chat window where you can chat amongst each other. And if you have any question to the speakers, please put these into the Q&A box, which is a tab next to it. We will start with the presentations of the projects and close the session then with a Q&A session. And a nice feature of this platform is that you can activate subtitles by clicking on a little box, which should be somewhere down there, marked with a CC. And I would say that's enough of me talking. I'm happy to give the floor to our first speakers, Raki Gupta and Sanjay Kedia from T India. Raki, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So can you see my screen? Hope you see my screen.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So namaskar and good evening from India. I, along with my colleague, Dr. Sanjay Kedia, will share with you the details of the Turing India project. We are both from IIS deemed to be university, one of the partner universities of the project. And I'm the contact person. I'm a professor in chemistry in the university and also rector and registrar. And Dr. Sanjay Kedia is a professor in teacher education. So he's the subject area expert from the teacher education group in the project. Our presentation will focus on the following points. In fact, I'll be covering the first few points, overview, and then objectives and the activities, while Dr. Kedia would cover the last part of it, which is the outcomes, the important results, the challenges, and the opportunities. Before we move ahead, let us watch this 2-minute video, which will give us a fair idea of the project, Tuning India.
Every student should have a high-quality educational experience, while every person dreaming of higher education should have a right to enter a university. Tuning India brings together 15 Indian universities, along with 5 EU partners, to try and make this dream come true. Indian higher education strives for the need of expansion for a wider educational experience, development of skills and excellence in all its aspects, and education based on the principles of equity, to make sure all the students across the country benefit from a comparable high-quality education. Learner-centered degree programs need to be developed, compatible across national and international institutions that permit students to develop transferable skills. Academics, students, graduates, employers, and other relevant stakeholders will be involved in the process of redesigning degrees. The tuning methodology comprises a cultural adaptable approach and a set of tools for curriculum modernization process. The process will include the need to consider how student learning can include outcomes related to employment, reappraise teaching, learning, and assessment of transversal skills, and facilitate quality assurance and enhancement. The change will start with the 4 selected subject areas: law, IC, medicine, and teacher education, but is expected to go well beyond these areas. All higher education institutions will benefit from the following deliverables: degree programs and reference points in 4 subject areas, a well-established group of trained academics and managers, survey on competencies, national dissemination seminars, international policy forums, local workshops, Tuning India centres and new members of Tuning community. Tuning India, designing accessible worldwide education for all.
So this was an overview of the project. The project was coordinated by University of Deusto Bilbao, Spain, and the duration was 2 years. In fact, it was supposed to get over in the last year, but due to sudden outbreak, the pandemic outbreak, an extension of 1 year was granted. And just on this 14th, the project has officially been closed. The consortium had 20 universities in all, out of which five are or were the European universities, and 15 were from the partner country, that is India. And the co-coordinator from the Indian consortium was MAHE, which is Manipal Academy of Higher Education. And this is our university, the IIS University. These are the objectives of the project. In fact, these objectives were set based on the feasibility study that the University of Deusto carried out before the project. And what is important is that the objectives, all these objectives, are aligned with the recommendations of our new education policy, which Government of India has recently implemented. The broad objective, which is to design and redesign degrees to make them learner centric, to make them comparable, to make them compatible, as well as relevant for the society and global market by involving different stakeholders, right from students to academics, that is, faculty members, the graduates, and the employers, was a key objective. The last objective, in fact, which was to promote sub regional and international cooperation between India and European Union universities, is also very relevant and very important, as in today's time, all across or beyond borders, everybody is talking about internationalization of higher education in a big way. In all, there were 42 participants, out of which 20 were the contact persons and 31 were the academics from the 4 selected disciplines for which the project was basically carried out. During the life cycle of the project, a number of activities were undertaken. University of Deusto carried out or organized 6 general meetings, 2 implementation workshops, and 2 policy forums as part of training and dissemination, while the local universities or the Indian universities organized local workshops and national dissemination seminars at their end to cascade down the learning garnered in the project. In all these meetings, in fact, these were the meetings that were held as part of training exercises. Right, the meeting started in May 2018 with the start of the project, and the second meeting was at Bilbao in November 2018. In fact, I'm happy to share that the third meeting was hosted by our own university in Jaipur, India, in March 2019. In all these meetings, trainings on the specific steps of curriculum design and development were provided by the coordinating university and supported by the European partners. The outbreak of the pandemic forced us to go online, which saw a plethora of virtual meetings and interactions, the last one being on the 7th of October, just recently, before the official close of the project on the 14th of October. These are the broad outcomes of the project. The specific ones, of course, will be discussed by my colleague, Dr. Sanjay Kedia. But as part of broad outcome, the revision of curricula in 4 different subject areas were undertaken, reference points were developed, and most importantly, 8 universities came forward to ink the Framework Cooperation Agreement, or MOUs, to work together for promotion of collaborative teaching, learning, and research, and also now establishment of tuning centers at the different Indian universities. I now request Dr. Sanjay Keria, my colleague, to please take over and share with everybody the project results.
Uh,
Sanjay. Yeah.
so, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Araki ma'am. I think you have presented the details of the Tuning India project very comprehensively. Let me now present the project result in brief. As you all know, in India, the project was facilitated by 4 subject area group: law, ICT, medicine, and teacher education. The very first output was a list of generic competencies common to all 4 subject area and 4 lists of subject specific competencies prepared by 4 groups based on a survey conducted by 31 academics from 5,246 respondents. Another important output was a survey on student workload to estimate the context hour and independent hour. The sample comprises 1,997 students. Keeping in view one of the major expected outcome expected from the project, each of the 15 partner universities either developed a new degree program or revised one of their existing one to align with the tuning methodology. The next critical output was the preparation of 4 reference points. The 2 policy forums, one in September 2021 and the other in October 2021, both online, provided to be effective dissemination activities. Let me now talk about some major results. The first is designing student-centric curriculum to make the educational process more meaningful to today's students. Second is designing competency-based curriculum and program. This included identifying generic and subject-specific competencies and develop a set of learning outcomes. Selection of appropriate teaching, learning, and evaluation strategies is the third major project. We selected teaching learning strategies in accordance with syllabi and mapped the strategies to the learning outcome. We did an exercise on calculation of student workload so that the faculty and a student can pace the teaching learning appropriately. The student learning guide, an all encompassing document having all possible details of a course, was prepared with acted a resource to provide clear direction and help to students. The reference point helped to make the degree program comparable, compatible, and transparent. I think most of all, the academics involved in the project are now well equipped to redesign their degree program, adopting tuning methodology. Now, let me take a specific example to explain how the project was implemented at IS University India, which I represent. Once the subject group prepared the meta profile for degree program in India and we mapped it with our existing curricula, we found the, that the management competence was lacking in our program in terms of leadership. To adapt to tuning, we introduced 2 theory courses and 1 practical course in the 7th semester of BSc B.Ed 4-year integrated program. School leadership and management, and Nai Talim through rural engagement with a practical component in the latter. Now, in the coming years, we look forward to strengthening the tuning community in India so that we can re-energize and advance our motto of tuning educational structure and program supporting diversity and professional autonomy in higher education institutions. The logical step for that will therefore be establishment of Tuning India centers throughout the country. For starter, the following 6 universities, including one of us, will set up Tuning India Center at their campuses. While it all seems very simple, the road has not been very smooth. In actual practice, one of the biggest challenges was to select the generic competencies from the identified list of important and achievable as obtained through the survey conducted with different stakeholders. The next challenge was to prepare a common meta profile for every subject area group, keeping in view the local and regional need and the respective social context. And then came the global pandemic. However, we kept our spirit high and continued our work online. Another hurdle was to adhere to the program requirement set in place by the different regulatory bodies in India, especially with respect to introduction of new program. On a positive note, let me now speak about the opportunities we see ahead vis-a-vis the Tuning India project. We are lucky that after almost 2 decades, we have a new National Education Policy 2020 in place. The policy aims to redefine a university as a multidisciplinary institution that offers undergraduate and postgraduate programs with high quality teaching, research, and community engagement. The area we see as opportunities are design, delivery, and review of academic programs in all higher education institutions in light of national education policy, especially considering the shift from objective-based curriculum to learning outcome-based curriculum. Others are collaborative research and research publication, international exchange or interaction between academics, cooperation and collaboration with or between Indian and European universities. This is all about the project. We are very happy
Sanjay,
with this project and take it as a new opportunity to cooperate, bridge, explore new ideas, and learn new things. Thank you very much for listening.
thank you very much, Team T India. That was a very lovely presentation. And I give now the floor, sorry, to Katrina Kaviri Millo from Eviva Project. Katrina, the floor is yours.
Hello everybody, I'm just trying to share the screen. Is it visible?
Yes, perfectly.
So, hello, my name is Katrina Chabiri. I'm the head of the Office for Project Development and Internationalization at the European University of Tirana in Albania. So we are leading Eviva project, which actually is our first project that we started as the leader. And I hope that it's a successful experience so that we have much more to follow in terms of leadership. So the title of the project is Enhancing and Validating Service-Related Competencies in Versatile Learning Environments in Western Balkan Universities. So the acronym is EVIVA. The whole idea of the project was to validate the service-related competencies of students at universities, at partner universities, which actually were all from the Western Balkan countries. It was around €1 million. It started in November 2018. However, it is granted a 9 months extension due to COVID crisis. And as I said, European University of Tirana is the leadership of this project. It is an Erasmus CBHE capacity building for higher education, and it falls under the priority recognition of qualification and qualification framework, which was actually a regional priority. How we initiated this project? Actually, this project was deriving from another previous project, which was called Rebus, and which was more or less with the same consortium and the same idea of student competence measurement and evaluation. So based on this successful experience, we started to think of a new project where it was where EVIVA was born. The idea was that we thought that we should make a need assessment of higher education institution in countries like Albania and Western Balkan countries on competence validation. The whole approach concerns to the fact that a new law has come up in Albania in 2015, but also in other Western Balkan countries, and it claims that the teaching and learning should be oriented toward competencies, not toward objectives any longer. So why not having this project, which was actually a success story on competence-based development? So this is how the whole idea was initiated. On the other hand, we had a need assessment or need evaluation with the ministries of our respective countries, and we saw their increasing interest of validation and certification of competencies through certified tools, like level 5 system we are using in this project. How did we start this idea? The service-related competencies are becoming an important aspect in formal but also non-formal learning. However, on the other hand, the higher education institutions do not offer actually this approach. So I just want you to remember, whenever we fill in the European CV, European Pass CV, we have the training and we have the experience, the internship, language speak, etc. We do all have a kind of certification for all these that we fill in the CV. For instance, for the language we do.
I'm sorry, dear audience. I think we just lost Katrina, which is a little bit unfortunate. Maybe we give her a moment to reconnect, and maybe we can pull in between a question which I read before in the chat towards the colleagues of T India. If you don't mind, Raki and Sanjay. Are you there, Raki and Sanjay? Yeah. So I read before, Mark Glynn asked, or he was wondering how you calculate the student workload. Could you maybe explain a little bit more on this?
Yeah, Mark. Just actually, we have received a Google form from the University of Deusto. This total workload was divided in two parts. The first was the context hour, the face-to-face context hour, which a student and a teacher interact in a classroom. Now, apart from this face-to-face classroom interaction, the another part was independent hours, like to prepare the assignment, preparation for the quiz, or any self-learning or preparation of the students for the quiz or continuous assessment or for their semester end examination. So there were the two types of category of the workload, which has been included in the total workload. And we collected the workload for every course of a program. Like in our university, we have collected the workload for a BSc B.Ed 4-year integrated program through the Google form. And all this, the workload collected from the students has been analyzed by the University of Deusto.
All right. I hope this is answering Mark's question or giving enough information on his interest. We have Katrina back with us. And thank you very much, Sanjay, for jumping in so spontaneously. Katrina, the floor is yours again.
Okay. I don't know if I was interrupted or someone interrupted I didn't understand, but anyway.
You were simply all of a sudden gone, sadly, but good to see you back with us.
Okay, I apologize then. Okay. So as I was saying, so considering the European CV that we all fill in, there you understand how important it is to have also competence which are measured and also certified. The place which European Union actually has left for us to fill in for our competencies, it's always empty, or we do fill in by ourselves, claiming that we have intercultural spirit or teamwork or good working good under pressure, etc. But we never have a certified way of measuring this kind of competencies. So this is a project that actually offers one of the missing gaps in our everyday professional lives and our students as well. It offers one certification process and a certification paper in the end of this whole process to our students, including this in formal learning, but also in informal learning as well. The overall objective of this project is the creation of a blended learning approach to facilitate and validate the competencies which actually are selected upon the consortium. The competencies we selected was service-related competencies. So it was actually decided with the consortium that students need to be service-related oriented, because we usually finish the school with high grades. We might also have a kind of internship or two, but we are never skilled in behaving good in the service related market. The objectives, I shortly mentioned the objectives of this project, which is the first objective and one of the most crucial one is to research on existing ICT support approaches which create and validate service oriented skills and competencies. So we kind of make a research in the Western Balkan countries if there was any kind of approach, mainly based on ICT, which tried to kind of validate any kind of competence. The second objective is the developing of an overreaching ICT-based assessment and evaluation system. So based on our findings, we saw that it was a need for our countries to kind of create or adopt an ICT-based evaluation and validation system. Another objective was to enrich the existing validation and certification system. As I said, the example of the Europass was indeed a kind of enriching our certification system and validation one. Another objective is trying to reach the competence development and validation software for existing related skills and competencies. So in case any kind of software exists in terms of European Union wide, we should try to enrich this framework and also adapt this for our countries. And the last but not the least was the adoption of this framework, this approach, and also this kind of tool into our countries. Another objective is to apply a rich competence development and validation software in our university. And the last is the piloting and evaluation of our students. Some of the results after 2.5 years activities are the following. We complied national reports plus a transnational report on service-related competencies. Actually, it started with a whole framework on competencies for students. What do they need? How are the competencies measured? How are these measurements transmitted to the labor market? And if our universities is able or is responsible for the competence development setting for our students, or do they care only for the knowledge based, so the grades? Secondly, we provided trainings for the staff in all higher education institutions involved in the project. Those trainings were held in the program countries. Another result was that the academic staff made 2 modules because we thought one was a small number, but 2 were at least able to be piloted in each partner university, trying to implement this kind of methodology. What does this mean? The module was built in a way that students from the very beginning was taught what a competence was, why it was important, what this subject specifying in several universities meant for this competence, and how it could be developed. And all students, which were actually 300 selected for this project, learned about service-related competencies. They also developed this competence, and they also, in the end, measured and certified this competence. Another result is that each university, partner university, integrated in their university 30 licenses for 30 students that would certify these competences. They actually bought these licenses through the European Union financing system, and they use these licenses during the whole academic year in order to implement the level 5 system, which is actually the system according to which we measure this competence. Another result is that 100 students, 10 for each partner university, will travel to the program countries in order to have a two-week study visit to understand how their syllabus, how their academic program, but also their extracurricular activities works in terms of competence-based teaching and learning. In the end, we are trying to have a competition. We call it eViva competition. It will be about mentoring and training and simultaneous workshops with students who will have actually a kind of online conference to present their project that they will conduct in the two-week study visit that they will have in the program countries. Each student create an e-portfolio. So the licenses that we provide are actually linked to an e-portfolio of students in Mahara and Moodle. And this e-portfolio is integrated with their student profile. They insert there everything they have. It's a kind of online CV, let's call it, including also the competence development-based approach. So whenever they want to apply for a job or they want to show themselves to another partner or stakeholder, they can just share this link and it's their e-portfolio. By the end of the project, we are expecting to deliver a policy paper recommendation for our respective ministry or related institutions in the Western Balkan area. We actually had the last meeting and we discussed that we'll have one paper because we decided that the challenges of the whole region are almost the same. So if we have some policy recommendation, that would be the same for the whole countries. This is the project partners. This is a meeting in of eViva in Lisbon in 2019. How the consortium disseminates eViva project? Well, we have different tools, and I would suggest that some of the partners that hear us follow these tools because they actually make a big picture of good dissemination. In the beginning, we prepared the dissemination package, which is full of materials, logo, and everything. And we have the strategy, dissemination strategy, which is based and in line with the dissemination strategy of the European Commission. But of course, it is tailor-made with our project. Then we produce a newsletter each 6 months, and we disseminate this newsletter to our stakeholders, and we keep them updated of what we do with our project. We have a special website for this project, a dedicated website where all partners are included. And whenever you click in the logo of each partner, it follows you to the link that this partner had disseminated the eViva project into their official website. We have a social media, of course. We have produced 2 scientific papers in terms of this project, and they are actually published in very good Scopus-based journals. Each partner introduces the project at least toward one national info day they organize during the whole course of the project. We are holding also ad hoc events like Erasmus Day, etc. in our universities. We have a network called eViva, and we are trying to enhance it with our partners and students who participate, etc. We have the student conference, as I mentioned, and we have the public policy paper, which will be not only delivered to public institutions, but also available online for future research or those who are interested. These are some of the activities that I already mentioned in different partner universities. They include either dissemination events or trainings Also, some certification distribution in our partners. Not to forget that each partner certified 30 students at least and distributed certificates for those students. So these are some other activities like a fair, National Info Days, also House of Europe in Albania, where EVIVA project was invited to present. How can you find us? In the Facebook EVIVA project or in the official website of the project. Just an overview of the budget. We have a good distribution of the budget. So each partner actually has a normal and proportionate way of distributing the budget. And as I said, it's around 1 million euro in total. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much for presenting. And as all good things come free, dear attendees, our next speakers are Rubelay Souza and Carlos Ramos from La Pasión project. Gentlemen, please start.
I need that I am available to share.
Katrina, can you please stop your present? Oh, wait, maybe I. Yeah.
Okay. Just a moment to find the presentation. Okay. My name is Carlos Ramos. I'm from the Polytechnic of Porto in Portugal, and I will present together with Rubelay Souza from the Federal Institute of Goiás in Brazil, the project La Passion in this session of the Skills for 21st Century. This project is titled Latin American Practices and Soft Skills for an Innovation-Oriented Network. So we have the soft skills right in the name, and the project is mainly oriented for creating teams of students, of international students, for answer to challenges, in a co-creation and co-development base. These challenges are presented by enterprises and other organizations. The projects are multidisciplinary. This is essential for the projects. I mean, students from different areas and students from different countries, programs, degree, cultures, languages, and so on. The partners of the project in the European side, we have 5 partners. 4 of them are academic, the Polytechnic of Porto, universities of Vigo and Salamanca in Spain, and the Tampere University of Applied Sciences in Finland. And we have an association of enterprises of Portugal, because the participation of enterprises is important. And on the Latin American side, we have 3 countries. We have Brazil, we have Uruguay, and we have Chile. In Uruguay, we have an old university like UDELAR, and we have a very new university like UTEC, that is a university with 5-6 years. Inside of Chile, we have the Pontificia Catholic University, and we have DUOC. DUOC is a higher education institution oriented for professional and technical formation. And in the side of Brazil, we really have a network of the Federal Institutes of Brazil. CONIF is this network, is a kind of council of rectors. And then we selected 5 Federal Institutes of Brazil, 1 for each region of Brazil. IFSUL for the South region, EFTM is Triângulo Mineiro for the Southeast region, Goiás for the Center West region, Maranhão for the Northwest region, and Amazonas for the North region of Brazil. It's a project of with almost 1 million euros and quite oriented for the soft skills 2025, as we know now. We developed 15 sets of multidisciplinary projects. 7 of these sets were expected in the proposal of the project. It involved 226 students. The 7 editions were in Santiago, in Montevideo, Uruguay, and 5 in Brazil, São Luís, Uberaba, Manaus, and Goiânia, and Pelotas. And in addition, we had more 8 editions that were not proposed in the project, but were organized, 3 of them in Porto, 1 of them in Tubiara, in Goiás state, and 4 of them in Uruguay. So we involved more 152 students in a total of 378 students, more than the 230 in the proposal. These are 15 sets of projects. In practice, we had 75 projects, and more important, we impacted not only students, not only professors, we impacted institutions, and we impacted the higher education systems, namely the higher education system of Brazil. We organized the first in Santiago de Chile. It was very important because we introduced the approach based in design thinking. This means that we have first the warm-up of the students' integration. We present an open challenge. We create teams with diversity of students. They report weekly to blogs. They deal with stakeholders, counterparts. They handle sub-challenges inside the main challenge. The project is user-oriented, and each team proposes 3 opportunities and ideas and select one. They develop mock-ups, prototypes. They test the prototypes or systems, and on the last week, these are 10 weeks projects. They have the pitch and the demo day of the project. It is very important to have a space to join the students. Here we can see, for example, the design factory of the Walk in Chile, or the dome in the Catholic University, spaces from Triângulo Mineiro Federal Institute in Uruguay, and the innovation factory of Maranhão that inspired what is known now in Brazil like If Maker, that Roberley will explain in the final part of this presentation. As I told you, we work with multidisciplinary teams. I can select, for example, this team that is a team created in Santiago de Chile, with Beatriz, João Vitor, Camila, Johnny, and Victoria. She is from automation, he's from biology, design, business, and agriculture. We have 5 different areas, 4 different countries, Brazil, Uruguay, Finland, and Chile, and 5 different institutions. This is the case of Chile because every partner sends students to Chile. It was very easy to create groups like that. But in other places, we want at least 2 different countries, 3 different higher education institutions, and 3 different areas. For example, this group in Maranhão involve students from informatics or information systems, the same area, electrical engineering, administration, and design, and from 3 different countries, Brazil, Portugal, and Uruguay. What students do? Usually, they need to interact with the possible final users of the ideas, of the prototypes, of the products or services that they will develop. So the projects are client-oriented. It's quite usual to have interviews to people that may be interested in seeing solved the problems. Usually we say that we want to know the pains of the people, what is really important in a certain area for them. And observation is also very important. Note that when we speak about a client-oriented project, in the case of Uruguay, the challenge is relate how to improve the quality of life of children. The clients are children, so they interact with children to see what they want to solve. We have also visits to companies. In this case, is a visit to the BRF, a big company in Brazil. This connection with companies happened in several projects. In the case of Triângulo Mineiro in Uberaba, we had 4 projects, all with companies, from a very small company to a big company. But in Manaus, in Goiânia, now in Pelotas, we had also projects involving companies in the project. Students, they have lots of drawings, so concept maps, schemes, diagrams. They perform studies and inquiries. They use modeling tools. They have meetings with people, sensibilization activities, and very important, they have experimentation, namely in the projects where they create something that is physical, or in some cases software as well. We organize grand deliverables. This is the moment for the presentation of the works of the students to all the people. Usually we have 5 to 6 deliverables during the project. And we have the demo days, the last day of the project in the 10th week, with visibility for the project, speech of 3 minutes. And the students need to train for that, posters, demonstrations of prototype software, and so on. As you can see, we had some demo days in online mode because we had projects during the pandemics. Huberley will explain that. Our projects have lots of visibility. For example, in Maranhão, Flávio Dino, the governor of Maranhão, received the students in the government palace, and the 2 main Brazilian TVs, Globo and SBT, had news in prime time about La Passion, and the Globo TV in Minas Gerais also had the news in prime time about La Passion at Uberaba. The videos are in our project site. They are all available. In some cases, the project results in brands, patents, and startups. We have a very nice ideas, a set of good ideas. For example, in Maranhão, 2 teams were selected by Inova Maranhão contest to create startups. We had also software that is being used in Goiás, some products that are being used now in Amazonas, some good ideas from Uberaba, from Montevideo, and so on. Now we go to Huberley that will continue this presentation. Huberley, we don't have... okay.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Ruberley Souza, and I will present you some of the success stories of La Passion in Latin America. Here, we can see that 32 multidisciplinary students projects have been developed in Brazil in 6 sets of projects. Each set of projects was held in one city: São Luís, Uberaba, Manaus, Goiânia, Pelotas, and Itubiara, and involved from 4 to 7 projects for students. important to say that São Luís and Uberaba projects were developed completely in presential mode. Manaus and Goiânia project had to convert from presential to online at the beginning due to the coronavirus pandemic. Itubiara project combined presential with online, and finally Pelotas was completely online. I was coordinating the project from Goiânia and Itubiara. To each set of projects, we had a main challenge: how to improve the Human Development Index in Maranhão for São Luís, Food for the Future for Uberaba, Amazon Sustainability for Manaus, Sustainable and Inclusive Society for Goiânia, Accessibility and Assistive Technologies for Pelotas, Sustainability and Energy Efficiency for Itubiara. Important to say that projects for students were proposed by enterprise and other external institutions. On one hand, we had the project of Uberaba, all proposed by enterprise from a familiar family small company for sweets to a big group for processed meat. But enterprise were involved in other projects. For example, Caloi in Manaus, a big bicycle manufacturer, to Bela Vista and Ecologic in Goiânia. Other projects have been proposed by foundations and governmental entities like city halls, municipalities, or government secretariats. Uh, we know that it is important to continue the activities and practice of La Passion after the end of the project funding. And in spite of the pandemics that create some obstacles to presential activities, we are prepared well for the future. I would like to talk that the La Passion was very important for the decision for the Brazilian Minister of Education for fund 143 IF makers spaces. IF maker space is a kind of Fab Lab where students are able to work together using the La Passion practice and experience. 76 of these ice makers have been created all around the Brazil. The project of Itubiara, also known as Brapsol, was the first La Passo style project to be held in one of these spaces. We expect to launch many La Passo style projects in IF Makes in the next years. Another excellent results for La Passion sustainability come from Uruguay. They create a program based in La Passion, hashtag Inova, where multidisciplinary students team constitute innovative cells. They organize for edition for projects, a total of 25 projects with challenge proposed by 24 different enterprises. A total of 94 university students from the partner of La Passion, but also from another university. As Brapsol, this set of projects in Uruguay was not previous nor funded of La Passion. They are good examples for the sustainability of La Passion. La Passion is very demanding for students, lots of work, but they love it to do it. To finish our presentation, I would like to put a photo for Sabrina. a student of Federal Institute Sul-Rio-Grandense that participated in La Paz, Uruguay. At the middle of the stay in Montevideo, she posted, "Time, please slow down." This is one of many testimonies of our students that demonstrate they were passionate by their projects, and passionate students work much better. Thank you for your attention. We are available for questions about La Passion.
Thank you very much, Team La Passion. Very interesting, especially the last quote from your student. And as we have still a couple of minutes left and a couple of questions in the question and answer section, let's dive right into that. Krista Beans asked a question which I was also asking myself. You should see it now on the stage, the question. How did you manage to recruit so many students from different areas of study? What was the mechanism for identifying them and getting the word out and selecting them?
It's interesting because we didn't oblige the institutions to select students from one area or another area. We made available to each institution to select, and in practice, some institutions send students from engineering, others send students from design, others from health sciences, from administration, and usually we have a very good set of different areas to compose our team. It was not top-down approach; is more a bottom-up approach.
All right, and I guess we can continue also with you. And again, with a question from Krista Beans, who seems to be very passionate about La Passion. Also, La Passion, was it difficult to get companies to propose challenges for the students to address?
We need to explain to companies that we are faced to 10 weeks projects. So it's important that they don't expect by the beginning that they will have a final product at the end of these 10 weeks. But we are really surprised by the results of teams students to challenge proposed by companies, and some of them are being used by companies right now. So this is really interesting. It's important to say that some of these institutions are more close to polytechnic systems, so the integration with companies is better for this purpose.
All right. And guess what? Another question from Christina Wiens. Sean stage. Finally, that is a huge amount of projects. How difficult was it in the context of a Erasmus Plus project with sometimes limited resources to monitor all those projects? How many academics were involved?
Each project, each set of projects involved between 24 to 52 students. Usually we group these students from 4 to 7 teams. We need some academics from the receiving institution available for coaching the students. And surprisingly, things run very, very well. It was more easy in Chile because our Chilean partners had some experience with some multidisciplinary activities. But for example, in the case of Brazil, it was not normal, but they learned a lot because we placed the project of Chile at the beginning. since giving time for partners without this experience to learn the methodology of design thinking, the methodologies related with multidisciplinary practices and so on. It was really possible, and we found that teachers and academics and students are really involved in the projects.
Thank you, Carlos. And we have our last question, this time from Ahmed Mustafa, going to the presenters from India. Thank you for your presentation. Under which type was your project listed, as a joint project or as a structural project? I guess an easy to answer question.
Yeah, Alex, this was a joint project. Basically, all of us had submitted the joint declarations, and the PIC validation process also was undertaken. So it was a joint project.
Okay, thank you very much. And as we are now just 1 minute over our planned time, I guess the presenters from India anyway wouldn't mind to enjoy their evening by now. And I guess for Rubale, it's time for a coffee maybe, or for anybody else. So I guess we can come to an end. Thank you very much to all the speakers for presenting. It was really a pleasure to listen to your presentations. And also thank you very much to all the attendees, the questions, and I hope to see you all also tomorrow at our CBHE fair.
Thank you so much, Alexander. It was wonderful being a part of this session. And thank you for all the support that you extended to us in planning for the same. Yeah.
With a lot of pleasure. Okay,
Thank
all right.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you,
Bye.
all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.